Hey, my name's James Nicholson. I hope you guys are well. In this video, I want to talk about buy-to-let mortgages. What are they? How do they work? Maybe you already have some, and maybe we'll cover some stuff in here that you don't know about buy-to-let mortgages that will make them even more useful for you as a property investor. So before we jump into it, as always, I'm going to ask you to subscribe to the channel and hit the bell notification. We want to get 10,000 subscribers. So every one of you that does that really helps us get to that target. And while you're here, smash the like button, guys. That really helps us with the YouTube algorithm. So take 2 seconds. Go on, smash it right now. So buy-to-let mortgages. Well, there's two types of mortgages that you get. You get a residential mortgage, which is when you buy your house that you live in, which is the most common, and most people have those types of mortgages. And then you get buy-to-let mortgages, which are for investors like me and like you, hopefully watching this channel. And they're quite different. So with a residential mortgage, you can use just a 5% deposit. That allows you to get on the property ladder. At times in history, we don't have this right now. Actually, there was some talk of these coming back again, is 100% mortgages. So sometimes on a residential basis, you don't need any deposit to be put into that property. So that works really well. Now, buy-to-lets, the lenders feel they're a little bit more risky for them, and so they will charge you a little bit more, and they want bigger deposits. So a deposit on a buy-to-let is at least 25%. So up north, if you're investing, you can easily get a 25% deposit house or flat. Now down south, sometimes because the rent is comparatively lower than the value of the house. So let's just talk about that, explain that. So up north, I can buy a house for 50 grand and rent it out for 600 quid all day long. Whereas down south, I might spend 300 grand and then I might only get £1,000 in rent. So the rental yield is much lower in the south. So because of that, to make the numbers stack up, sometimes I've had to put a 30% deposit in a southern property. Now, pros, why would you do that? House prices in the south rise a lot faster. So if you're looking for capital appreciation, it works better in the south. If you're looking for cash flow, it works better in the north. Back on track. So normally you'll have a 25% deposit. That's the average, right? You can't really get much lower than that. There are some places talking about doing 20% deposits, but in this market, they're going to want at least a 25% deposit. Now, what's interesting is your income, your credit rating, and those sorts of things are important to a buy-to-let investment, but they're not the most important thing. Now, if you've got a bad credit rating or a low income, you will not get a residential mortgage, because who's paying that mortgage back? You. You're the one paying that each and every month. Whereas on a buy-to-let mortgage, it is you that pays it, but realistically, it's your tenant, isn't it? So you might get a property that has a £500 a month mortgage, the tenant pays you £1,000, you pay the 500 quid and you keep the difference, right? Whatever profit after fees and stuff like that. So it's more likely that they're going to get paid on the mortgage. So what they're looking for is that you earn at least £25,000. Now, if you don't earn £25,000, that's okay. You could partner with someone, right? So you could get someone to go into this with you, maybe a family member or a partner. And so you can get that level of 25 grand that way. Or maybe temporarily you need to get a part-time job. You need to do something to get the income to £25,000. That's very, very important. You need a good credit rating as well. So I would suggest that you look on your credit rating. You can get a trial with Experian or someone like that. Actually, one that's really good at the moment is called Check My File. That checks all of the credit rating agencies, so you can see what they all think of you at the same time. Get a trial with them, see what your credit rating is, and if you've got a problem, try and fix it. I've got loads of mates that over years have, it's always mobile phone bills, right? So they've moved house and then they changed mobile phone bill, didn't pay the last bill, it's always the last bill, and then they've got a CCJ for like 30 quid or something like that. You need to go and satisfy those. Don't not pay those, just go and pay it and get them to update your credit reference agency. That will not make it perfect, but it will improve it somewhat. So 25% is important. Then they're going to look at the property makes at least 125%. The rent is at least 125% of the monthly payment. So let's just say you've got £100 in mortgage payment. They want you to at least earn in rent £125. So if you've got £100 payment in rent, you need to get at least £125 in rent from the tenant. Now that's good. And so because they've got these tests in place, this is way easier than running a business, because they're not going to lend you the money unless your deal stacks up. That's good, right? We want to make sure our deals are healthy and good and stuff like that. So they're going to do that for you. End of the day, if this all goes massively wrong, you would lose your credit rating would get hit, but they'd lose money, like potentially hundreds of thousands of pounds. So they don't want to do that. Now, on a repayment mortgage, your residential property where you live, maybe right now you've got a mortgage there, you'll do something called a repayment mortgage. And so let's just say you pay £500 a month back to your mortgage. Maybe 200 of that is interest and £300 is paying off the debt that you owe, right? So each month the debt is going down by £300, which is good, right? And so that's how those types of mortgages work. On a buy-to-let, we only pay interest. So if we borrow £100,000 for 10 years, how much do we owe in 10 years? We still owe £100,000. Now, that might worry some of you. You might think, well, I want to be mortgage free. I want to pay this down. Well, what's helping you here is something called inflation. We talk about it a lot at the moment. Normally not so much, but right now it's a hot topic, isn't it? Because it's so high. And so what's happening is the cost of goods are going up. So if you look at a Freddo, for example, they were 10p, and then they go to 30p, then they go to 50p. Like, things get more expensive over time. Think about how much a bag of crisps cost when you were a kid. You used to have penny sweets when I was a kid. You wouldn't get a penny sweet these days. So things get more expensive, and so you'll earn more in time as well. Your rent will go up. So I started working in Burger King around 97 maybe, and I was on £3 per hour. Now, in the same town, the minimum wage for that sort of job would be around £11 an hour. So things get cheaper. And so what you would do, let's just say you had 100 grand that you owed. Now, on average, every 10 years, this property goes up in value, right? And so normally in 10 years, this would now be worth 200 grand, right? You owe 100, so you've got £100,000 in equity. So if you want to pay back that £100,000, you've got some options. One is you could sell the property, right? You could sell the property and then you could pay back the 100 grand and you could keep the 100 grand yourself. You're gonna have to pay taxes on that called capital gains tax, but you would keep the difference, right? And you would keep the profit. So that's one way that you've made profit from this. Another thing that you could do is you could remortgage this house. It's now worth 200 grand and you could move it onto what we call a repayment mortgage. So you could start paying it down if you then chose to do that. Now the monthly payments won't feel so bad because it's 10 years down the line. Inflation has helped you. You now earn more. You now charge more rent. And so it will be more affordable and really feel more comfortable. So buy-to-let investments and mortgages, they're there to support you guys in order to allow you to borrow. And there have been times where, like, people that I know haven't been able to get a residential mortgage, but they can get the buy-to-let mortgage because they satisfy these criteria. They satisfy the fact that they earn the 25 grand, that the property deal does well for them. And this is all really important stuff that we have to take into consideration. And so that's what a buy-to-let mortgage is. I hope that makes some sense. Do comment below with any questions you've got. Do comment below with any ideas for videos that you want us to make on this channel. We listen to everyone here. We reply to every single comment on the channel on a daily basis. If you didn't earlier, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell, smash a like, go and check out some more content. Why not go and watch this video right here?